Good morning. Oh, this light's really bright. So it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Just when I get up. Quite nice being the only person who's awake in the city. For some reason in the morning when you pass people, you say hi to them. It's kind of like an acknowledgement of what are you doing awake at this time. So I thought, okay, I had an idea. So someone who commented on my videos whose channel I also follow on YouTube, and had some really interesting videos, posted a comment and said that he didn't understand what people meant by when they used certain phrases, and specifically it was everything being nothing, and something like that reality happens without anything happening, or something like that. My memory's not very good, so I could have got this wrong here, but I thought it would be quite a fun idea to take these things that you hear all the time, these kind of catchphrases, these non-duality catchphrases that you hear all the time, and kind of attempt to explain and fail miserably at explaining what they mean, based on my experience, because that's all I can really talk about, and see how that goes. So I guess the first one I'll do would be the everything being nothing, or the nothing being everything, or whatever, which you hear all the time, and it kind of loses meaning, and then because you hear it so much, and then you're like, there isn't really meaning in it anyway, which is why it's so difficult to. It points to something, an experience, that when you realise it's obvious what that refers to, but it does. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. So I can kind of describe it like this. So, or I'll attempt to describe it from a couple of angles if I've got time. So this is. I'm going to try and describe it, and this is part of it. But clearly, this isn't this description isn't representative of what that points to an experience. So basically, this is talking about paradox. So paradox is something that's incomprehensible for the mind. The mind can't understand it, and even when I'll try and use words to describe it, and then the mind will go, no, hang on, wait, that doesn't make sense. That it's not like what about this, and blah 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 blah. And if you're really interested in this awakening, then just disregard that mind, because that's not what it's about. And at some point that becomes clear. it's a knowing on a different level. It's not a cognitive understanding. It's like a deep intuition, a different kind of knowing, and it can't be explained. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's paradoxical. So I describe it like, so we're in a world of things and objects, and people are things. Time and space allows things to exist. There's separation, different individual pieces. What this everything and nothing points to partially is that really there aren't things in experience, as in there isn't separation, as in I can see a world of diversity of different objects, but the objects really are of the mind. As in it's the mind, it's the interpretation from a single point of view, based on learning, based on memory, time, that differentiates these objects from the rest of the environment. And it picks these objects out from this appearance, from the sense field, and turns them into separate things. In our immediate experience, there are no things. There's the illusion of things, but in the raw appearance, the raw image, if you pay close attention, the things are augmented on top of the image by the mind. They are not actually there in direct experience. So the mind will protest at that, because it can't see what I'm talking about, because it's not actually there. The mind thinks there are things there. There aren't things there. Not really. There's the illusion of things there. The mind makes it look like there are things there, but that's not actually what's there. And once you see it, once that becomes clear in experience, it's fucking obvious that, and that can produce some, like the first time this started to clarify an experience for me, I was like, oh shit, what? I couldn't believe, I was like, I got the fear. It was terrifying, because I've just seen through reality. And completely sober, I've just seen something. This is the way my mind put it afterwards. I've just broken my mind, because I've seen something about reality that I can't I've never unseen now. And that produced like a really horrible kind of fear reaction. But I got over it, because fairly quickly it came in waves, because I've always been looking at it. It's always been like this. This is the way it's always been. It's not like something changed or I lost something. I just seen through an illusion, and that's a shock. But when there aren't things, what is there? There's an appearance, but at no point in time in our direct experience, when we observe the world, let's say, or this image, does any part of that appear separate from the rest? Does any part of that, can any part of that be seen or perceived separate from everything else? It's all the one image. And it's a really weird illusion, because the mind, see, when you see how the mind does it, it becomes obvious. You're like, oh, that, and it's really quite cool how the mind, but it's very convincing up until you see how the mind is actually doing it in real time. And once you see that, then you can kind of see two things at the same time. You can see the world of objects and the one boundless, borderless appearance that always appears as the one thing. And it becomes clear that it's an appearance, it's not a solid world of solid things. It's an appearance. It can't be grasped, it can't be captured. It's completely transient. Hold on here. I'm back, sorry. Yeah, it's completely uncapturable. It's completely unlocatable. Like, where is this image? Where are these sounds? Where is this appearance? Where is it? If we don't use thought. So like, if I look at a car that's over there, where is that image? Where is that appearance? Obviously, let's say that car. No, it's not a car, because the car never appears separate from the environment around it, let's say. Where is it? Where actually is the image, the appearance? Not the location of the thing, but the actual appearance, the actual image. Is it over there? You know, over there is just thought, really, because the image appears seemingly here, or at least I think I'm aware of it here. But where is the awareness? Where am I aware of it? Or where is the image? Or is the image separate from the awareness? And then we realise that the appearance, the image, isn't really anywhere. It's not even in the realm of here or there, or... I mean, things look like they're there from a point of view of a subject that's here. But that information isn't in the image. The image is just the image. And the image isn't anywhere. And there are no things in the image. It's just a singular appearance that is appearing nowhere. Are you starting to... If someone's watching this and following along, are you starting to intuit where this is going, and starting to intuit what I'm talking about, and starting to feel it, and in your experience, kind of look and go, I know what you're talking about, but maybe it's not quite fully materialised or become clear in experience, but there might be something inside you that's like, I know what you're talking about, but I just can't grasp it. But it's ungraspable. It's impossible. It's ungraspable. But you can experience it clearly and you can know it fully. But the mind doesn't need to be there. So really, there aren't things. So there's no thing. But there is a universe here. There is universe doesn't describe it anymore. There are appearances, but they are transient and ungraspable, and they're seemingly is something, but the something is made of nothingness. As in, it's not solid. It's not real or unreal. It doesn't make any sense. It's not graspable. It's not solid. It's just sensation. I mean, this sensation, my hand touches the gear lever, the sensation isn't anywhere either. It's not made of anything. It's transient. It's not graspable. It just has no reality to it, in the sense that my mind attempts to give it reality. It's just a sensation, and if I put my attention right into that sensation, it doesn't even have boundaries. My mind creates boundaries. It thinks, this hand is an object, this hand has a limit. These are the limits of the hand. This is a sensation of the hand that appears within these limits. But in the sensation itself, there's none of that. It's an infinite sensation that has no boundaries, that has no limits. If we really meditate and really go right into it, there are no boundaries to it. There's no definition to it. It's just a sensation appearing as the entire universe, and it's the same with everything else. So we're in kind of like a weird, like borderless, boundless field of bizarre, ungraspable, transient sensations that exist without dimension, and like a zero-dimensional, infinite, timeless space. That are held together into some sort of weird narrative that is constructed by the thinking mind and ideas and assumptions, and that's what this life is, this centre, this person. And how it does that is just incredible, but it's an illusion. And you know, on this path, let's say, over time, like, you know, the illusion becomes less and less real. As it becomes less and less real and we lose the identification with it, it becomes more and more incredible, because we see it for what it is. We see how reality is constructed by the mind to look a certain way. We see how this has all come about, and it just becomes more and more fascinating. And reality at the same time becomes more and more of a mystery, because we realise that we don't know anything. The less and less we know, the more freedom there is in life. Because having to know something, having to define something is a limitation. Having to have things and know things is a limitation. Anything that's not absolute impossible paradox is a limitation. And that's what is meant when people use this kind of catchphrase, everything and nothing. Like, it doesn't make sense to the mind. I've tried to describe it there. I don't know if... I mean, listening to this, it's not going to make... So if someone's watching this and trying to follow along with the mind, you know, it might sound interesting. The mind will... It's weird. You'll notice that the mind will try and pretend it understands if you're really interested in this, and it will be like, yeah, that makes sense. But that's not where the knowing is coming from. If you pay close attention, there's something else there. You feel it. It's intuitive. There's a knowing there that goes way beyond the mind, and the mind, after, you know, it senses. Let's say the mind body senses something, and the mind goes, yeah, that I know what that's talking about, but it doesn't. It kind of tries to create a mental model that can only take it so far. What I'm describing is impossible. What I'm describing makes no sense at all. None whatsoever. And trying to talk about it just sounds like nonsense. It just sounds stupid. Yeah. But to perceive to perceive this. Don't believe any thoughts, don't listen to the mind. It's always in direct experience that this can become clear in the senses. And maybe think, what is added to experience? What am I adding to experience? I mean, are thoughts added to experience? Or are thoughts the experience? The point on this is the identification with the thoughts. Because a thought is something that just appears out of nowhere in the moment, unless we identify with the narrative that the thought is talking about. Until then, it's just a part of the experience, it's just a sense, it's just a transient happening. It's made of ungraspability, like a weird ghost that doesn't have any substance. What am I adding to experience? What is actually there? What actually is this? And what am I augmenting on top of my sensory experience using the mind? And it takes time, it takes concentration, and it takes being super pragmatic about experience. These things are very, very subtly just there, and that the mind will fight against you on this unless you can quiet it down. And when it's quiet for long enough, or when we can just rest in the senses for long enough, this, what I'm talking about, will start to become a bit clearer in experience. And then there's a point where it's not like the mind goes, oh yes, I know what this means now. Something just clicks. Something just is realised, and I can't explain what that is, but something changes. It's like something is becoming aware of how the illusion is made. But I can't describe what that. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what happens, or it's like removing the processes enough so that you can see that they are processes when they come back online. And then when they come back online, you're like, wait a minute. If you were to speak about it, you would say, wait a minute, that wasn't there a minute ago, and that yet this was still here. It's probably a terrible way of describing it, but anyway, I need to go. That's all for now.